Let your gaze rest softly on the screen, or perhaps on a point in the distance, where the shadows of the room begin to merge with the gentle dimness of the evening. There is no need to close your eyes just yet. Instead, simply allow your body to find its most comfortable position. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears, releasing the invisible weights you have carried throughout the day. Let your hands unclench, resting open and empty, like leaves floating on the surface of a still pond. We are about to undertake a journey, not of danger, but of escape. We are going to travel back to the year 1348, but not to the chaos of the history books. We are going to walk in the footsteps of one wise soul who saw the storm gathering and chose the path of silence, the path of the high ground, and the path of peace. Before we let ourselves drift along the slow flow of the past, if you find peace here, please gently leave a like and subscribe to the channel, so that we may meet again in the historical dreams that lie ahead. And if you wish, whisper in the comments where you are drifting off from tonight. It is comforting to know we are drifting together. Now, imagine the air. It is the hour just before dawn, that fragile, grey time when the world holds its breath. You are standing in a room in a bustling medieval city, but the bustle has not yet begun. The shutters are closed, but through the cracks, a heavy, stagnant air seeps in. It is the air of the lowlands. It is the air of too many people, too many buildings, too many narrow streets woven together like a knot that cannot be untied. Thomas stands by the window. He is a man of quiet observation. While others sleep, he watches. He has seen the signs. He has felt the change in the rhythm of the city. He knows that the valley, with its fog and its crowds, is no longer a place of safety. He knows, with a deep, intuitive certainty, that safety lies above. It lies in the wind. It lies in the distance. Watch him now as he prepares. He moves with a slow, deliberate grace. There is no panic in his movements, only a steady, rhythmic purpose. He is not fleeing in fear. He is departing with wisdom. He opens his leather satchel. It is old leather, soft and worn, smelling of earth and beeswax. He places his hand inside, smoothing the lining. He selects his items with the care of a jeweler. A loaf of hard-baked bread, wrapped in a clean linen cloth. The linen is rough but pure, boiled in hot water and dried in the sun. He places it in the bag, a small knife, its handle polished by years of use, a flint for fire, a small sack of dried lavender and sage, their scent rising faintly, a sharp, clean counterpoint to the stale city air. He packs a woolen cloak, thick and heavy, dyed the color of the forest floor. He looks around the room one last time. He is saying goodbye to the clutter, to the noise, to the heaviness of possessions. He is choosing the lightness of survival. He extinguishes the single candle. The room plunges into a soft velvet grey. He steps out into the street. The cobblestones are slick with the morning mist. The city is a labyrinth of shadows. The timber-framed houses lean over the street, almost touching at the roofs, creating a tunnel of darkness. He walks softly. His boots are made of soft hide, and they make only a whisper against the stones. Hush, hush, Oh, shh. He keeps his head down. He wraps his scarf around his nose and mouth. It is a barrier, a filter. He breathes shallowly, saving his lungs for the clean air that awaits him. He passes the market square, empty now of the shouting merchants and the jostling crowds. He passes the tavern, silent and dark. He feels the presence of the sleeping thousands around him, breathing the same air, sharing the same space. It feels heavy. It feels pressing. He moves towards the city gates. The guards are drowsy, leaning on their spears. They do not stop him. He is just a shadow slipping away into the morning mist. He passes under the heavy stone archway, and then he is out. The change is immediate. The moment his feet touch the dirt road beyond the walls, the air seems to shift. The oppressive weight of the city walls falls away behind him. He does not look back. To look back is to invite the heaviness to return. He looks forward. Ahead of him lies the path. It winds through the fields, past the sleeping farms, and then it begins to rise. It leads towards the hills, the high ground, the place where the air moves freely. He begins to walk. The rhythm of his walking becomes a meditation. Step. Breathe. Step. Breathe. Asterisk. The road is bordered by hedgerows, dark and tangled. He can smell the damp earth, the scent of wet grass, the smell of the coming day. As he walks, the sky begins to light. The grey turns to a pale, washed-out blue. The mist hangs low over the fields, a white ocean that clings to the ground. But Thomas is rising above it. With every step, he climbs higher. He feels the muscles in his legs working. A steady, comforting burn. It is the feeling of progress. It is the feeling of distancing himself from the danger. The further he walks, the safer he becomes. The social distance he is creating is not measured in feet, but in miles, in elevation, in the quality of the air. He reaches the foothills. The path becomes steeper. The ground changes from soft dirt to rocky trail. The trees change. The willows and alders of the valley give way to oaks and pines. He stops for a moment to rest. He leans against the trunk of a great oak tree. He turns and looks back, far below. The city is a smudge of grey in the white mist. It looks small. It looks insignificant. The place of noise and danger has been reduced to a toy village. He is above it. He is separated from it by a sea of clean, empty space. He takes a deep breath. For the first time in weeks, he fills his lungs completely. The air here is different. It is cool. It is crisp. It tastes of pine resin and cold stone. It does not carry the scent of smoke or stagnation. It is the air of the high places. He continues his ascent. The sun breaks the horizon. A shaft of golden light strikes the path ahead of him, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. The birds begin to sing, not the pigeons of the city, but the thrushes and the larks of the wild. Their song is clear and piercing. He climbs higher. The path narrows. He is entering the solitude. There are no other footprints here. There are no voices. There is only the sound of the wind in the trees. Asterisk, whoosh. Whoosh. Asterisk. It is a cleansing sound. A sound that scrubs the mind clean. He feels a profound sense of relief washing over him. The anxiety that had knotted his stomach in the city begins to unravel. He is alone. And in this time, in this world, Aloneness is the greatest luxury. Aloneness is safety. He imagines the invisible lines connecting him to the world below snapping. Ane by an. He is untethered. He is a ship cutting its anchor and drifting out into a calm. Open. See. The higher he goes, the lighter he feels. It is as if gravity itself is loosening its hold. The burden of fear is left down in the valley, trapped in the heavy fog. Here, in the sunlight, there is only the present moment. He walks past a mountain stream. The water tumbles over rocks, clear and cold. He kneels. He cups his hands. He drinks. The water is freezing, shocking, and pure. It tastes of melted snow and granite. It washes away the taste of the city dust. He stands up, wiping his mouth. He looks ahead. There, nestled into the side of the cliff, protected by a grove of pine trees, is his destination. It is a small stone cottage. It looks like it grew out of the rock itself. It is humble. It is solitary. It is silent. It is the sanctuary. Thomas smiles. A small, private smile. He has made it. He has outrun the invisible enemy. He has climbed above the sorrow. He adjusts his pack. He walks the final 100 yards. The wind blows stronger here, tugging at his cloak, pushing him forward. It is a welcoming wind, a wind that says, "You are safe here. You are hidden here." He reaches the door of the cottage. It is made of thick, weathered wood, grey as iron. He places his hand on the wood. It is rough and cool. He rests his forehead against the door for a moment, giving thanks to the silence, giving thanks to the distance, giving thanks to the high ground. He has arrived. The journey of escape is over. The journey of stillness is about to begin. The door of the stone cottage does not open easily. It has been closed for a long time. Sleeping through the seasons, waiting for a master who understands the value of solitude. Thomas presses his shoulder against the wood. He pushes with a low, long groan of ancient hinges. The door swings inward. Kreiak. The sound echoes in the empty space, a greeting from the house to its new inhabitant. Thomas steps across the threshold. The interior is dim. The shutters are closed tight, sealing the cottage against the elements. The air inside is still and cool, smelling of dry stone, old wood, and the faint, dusty scent of time itself. It is a paused atmosphere, a pocket of air that has not moved for years. Thomas stands in the center of the single room. He does not rush. In this new life, there is no rushing. There is only the slow, deliberate unfolding of tasks. He drops his leather satchel onto a wooden bench. The heavy thud is a punctuation mark. It signifies that he is staying. His first act is not to rest, but to cleanse. He knows the wisdom of the wind. He knows that stagnant air is the enemy, and moving air is the friend. He walks to the window on the east wall. He undoes the iron latch. It is cold under his fingers. He pushes the wooden shutters open. Light floods in. It is the brilliant, unfiltered light of the high altitude. It cuts through the gloom like a sword, revealing the floating dust motes that have been disturbed by his entrance. They dance in the beam, swirling in golden chaos. And then comes the wind. Because he is high up, perched on the shoulder of the hill, the wind is constant. It rushes through the open window. It is not a gentle breeze. It is a strong, scouring current. It sweeps into the room, chasing the shadows into the corners. It carries the scent of pine needle, of damp moss, of ozone and sky. Thomas closes his eyes and lets the wind hit his face. He breathes it in deep. He imagines the wind entering his lungs and sweeping away the last residues of the city miasma. He imagines it blowing through his mind, clearing out the cobwebs of fear and worry. This is the first step of survival, ventilation, the simple act of letting the world breathe. He moves to the window on the west wall. He opens it too. Now a cross draft is established. The air flows in one side and out the other. A river of invisible coolness washing the room clean. The old, stale air is pushed out, carried away over the valley, to be dispersed and purified by the vastness of the sky. Now, he begins to reclaim the space. The cottage is simple. It has walls of thick, rough-hewn granite. The stones are irregular, fitted together with skill, their surfaces sparkling faintly with mica. The floor is made of flagstones, large, flat slabs of slate that are cool and smooth. There is a large fireplace on the north wall, black with the soot of fires burned by hermits long gone. Thomas finds a broom in the corner. It is made of bound twigs, stiff and brittle. He begins to sweep. Asterisk, swish, swish, swish. The sound is rhythmic and hypnotic. He sweeps the dust from the center of the room towards the door. He is meticulous. He sweeps the corners. He sweeps under the simple wooden table. He sweeps the hearth. This is not just a chore. It is a ritual. With every stroke of the broom, he is claiming this space as his own. He is establishing order. In the city below, there is chaos. Here, there is structure. Here, the floor is clean. He watches the dust motes tumbling out at the door, caught by the wind and carried away. He is erasing the neglect. He is preparing a blank canvas for his survival. He pauses to look at the furniture. It is sparse, a table, a chair, a bed frame strung with ropes, a set of shelves. That is all. It is a minimalist existence, and he finds this lack of things deeply soothing. There are no tapestries to harbor fleas. There are no heavy velvet curtains to trap the dust. There is only wood and stone, surfaces that can be scrubbed, surfaces that can be purified. He walks to the shelves. He runs his finger along the wood. It is dry and solid. He takes his items from his satchel and begins to place them. The loaf of bread goes on the shelf. The bag of lavender goes next to the bed. The flint and steel go on the mantel of the fireplace. Each object is placed with intention. In a world where everything is uncertain, the precise placement of a spoon or a cup becomes a victory. It creates a sense of control. He looks at the fireplace, the heart of the home. It is cold and empty. He knows he needs fire, not just for warmth, but for purification. Fire cleanses, smoke fumigates. He goes outside to the edge of the pine grove. The ground is covered in fallen branches and pine cones. He gathers an armful of kindling. The wood is dry and brittle. It snaps easily. He brings it inside. He arranges the wood in the hearth. He strikes his flint. Click, spark, click, spark, A tiny ember glows on the tinder. He blows on it gently. A curl of smoke rises, grey and fragrant. Then a small tongue of yellow flame licks up. It catches the pine needles. It crackles. Snop, pop, crackle. The fire grows. It begins to consume the wood. The light from the flames dances on the stone walls, creating moving shadows that make the room feel alive. The heat radiates outward, pushing back the chill of the stone. The smell of burning pine fills the room. It is a sharp, resinose smell. It masks the smell of the dust. It smells of the forest. It smells of life. Thomas pulls the heavy wooden chair closer to the fire. He sits down. The wood of the chair is polished smooth by centuries of use. It conforms to his body. He stretches his legs out towards the warmth. He watches the flames. They are mesmerizing. They twist and turn, never repeating the same shape twice. They are the only thing in the room that moves quickly. Everything else is slow. Everything else is still. He listens to the wind outside. It whistles around the corners of the cottage. It rattles the shutters slightly. But inside, it is calm. The thick walls protect him. He is inside the fortress of solitude. He thinks of the advice he heard in his mind times. Get to high ground. Avoid the bad air. He has done it. He is here. The sun begins to set outside. The golden square of light on the floor stretches, turns orange, then fades to grey. The room darkens, illuminated only by the orange glow of the hearth. The cottage feels cozy now. It feels safe. It is a small, warm cave suspended in the sky. Thomas closes his eyes. He listens to the silence. It is not the silence of emptiness. It is the silence of peace. There are no carts rattling on cobblestones. There are no church bells tolling for the dead. There are no voices shouting in the street. There is only the wind. There is only the fire. There is only his own breath. In, out, in, out. He feels a deep sense of satisfaction. He has created a haven. He has scrubbed the floor. He has lit the fire. He has opened the windows to the cleansing wind. He is the hermit of the hill. And for the first time in a long time, he is not afraid. He is ready to live. He is ready to simply be. The wind blows through the night, guarding his door. The fire burns steadily, guarding his soul. He is safe. The fire in the stone hearth has settled into a steady, rhythmic burn. The initial crackle of the pine kindling has given way to the deep, resonant hum of the larger logs. They glow with a fierce orange heat, pulsing gently like the breathing of a living creature. The light from the flames washes over the stone walls of the cottage, turning the grey granite into a warm, flickering umber. The shadows in the corners soften, retreating from the circle of warmth that Thomas has created. He stands before the fire, his hands outstretched. He feels the heat penetrate the calluses on his palms, warming the blood beneath the skin. But warmth is not enough. Warmth is comfort. But survival requires something more. Survival requires purity. Thomas turns away from the fire and moves towards the corner of the room where the water barrels stand. He had filled them from the mountain stream before the sun set, carrying the heavy wooden buckets up the path, water sloshing rhythmically against the sides. Now, the water sits still, A dark mirror reflecting the ceiling beams. He picks up a large iron cauldron. It is heavy, cold, and rough to the touch. The metal is pitted with age. Smelling faintly of iron and smoke, he walks to the barrel. He takes a ladle made of hollowed-out gourd and begins to transfer the water. Splash, burr, splash, burr. The sound of the water falling into the iron pot is loud in the silence of the cottage. It is a liquid music. He watches the water swirl in the bottom of the cauldron, clear and cold. He fills it until it is nearly to the brim. He feels the weight of the water, a heavy, shifting burden in his arms. He carries the cauldron to the hearth. He bends his knees, bracing his back, and swings the heavy iron pot onto the hook that hangs above the fire. The hook creaks under the weight. The cauldron settles. The water inside trembles for a moment, then becomes still. Now, the waiting begins. Thomas pulls his wooden chair closer to the hearth. He sits. He watches the pot. In the city below, people are rushing, panicking, seeking miracles from charlatans. Here, on the hill, Thomas seeks the miracle of heat. He watches the bottom of the cauldron. The flames lick the black iron, slowly, imperceptibly at first. The energy transfers. The water at the bottom begins to warm. Small bubbles, tiny as pearls, begin to form on the metal surface. They cling there for a moment, growing slightly, before detaching and rising to the surface. Bloop. One bubble, then another, then a stream of them. He watches the steam begin to rise. At first, it is just a wisp, a ghost of white mist curling off the surface. Then it grows thicker. It rises in columns, twisting and turning in the updraft of the chimney. The air in the cottage begins to change. It becomes humid, softer. The dry smell of the stone is overlaid with the scent of hot water and wet iron. Thomas stands up. He goes to his satchel. He reaches deep inside and pulls out a heavy ceramic jug. It is sealed with a cork and wax. He holds it up to the firelight. The liquid inside is dark, the color of old amber. It is vinegar, 4 thieves' vinegar, a mixture of apple cider, garlic, herbs, and spices. It is a potent brew, known only to the wise and the cautious. In the medical halls of the city, they mock such things, preferring their bloodletting and their leeches. But Thomas knows, he knows that the pests, the tiny jumping devils that carry the sickness, hate the sour, biting smell of the vinegar. He breaks the wax seal. Crack. He pulls the cork. Immediately, the scent fills the room. It is sharp. It is acidic. It stings the nose pleasantly. It smells of fermentation, of preservation, of cleanliness. It cuts through the smoky air like a silver knife. It is not a sweet smell like a rose. It is a functional smell. It is the smell of a shield being raised. Thomas walks to the steaming cauldron. He tilts the jug. He pours a generous measure of the vinegar into the hot water. Glug, glug, glug. The dark liquid swirls into the clear water, clouding it for a moment before dissolving. The steam that rises now is infused with the essence of the vinegar. Thomas leans over the pot. He breathes in deep. The vapor enters his nose. his throat, his lungs. It makes his eyes water slightly. It feels like it is scrubbing him from the inside out. It clears his sinuses. It wakes up his mind. The water is boiling now. A rolling, churning boil. Asterisk. Rumble. Bubble. Hiss. He takes a thick cloth, wraps it around the handle of the cauldron, and carefully lifts it off the fire. He carries it to the center of the room, placing it on a wooden trivet to protect the floor. Now comes the shedding. Thomas begins to undress. He unbuckles his leather belt. He pulls off his heavy woolen tunic, the one that has traveled through the city streets, the one that might harbor the invisible dust of the plague. He handles it carefully, as if it were made of glass. He does not shake it. He folds it inwards and places it in a separate pile near the door, to be dealt with later. He takes off his boots. He peels off his socks. He removes his linen undershirt. He stands naked in the stone room. The air away from the fire is cool, raising goosebumps on his skin. He feels vulnerable, stripped of his defenses, but he is also ready. He takes a smaller bowl and dips it into the hot, vinegar-infused water. He pours it over a rough sponge. He squeezes the sponge. Hot water runs over his hand, stinging and soothing at the same time. He begins to scrub. He starts with his face. He scrubs his forehead, his cheeks, his chin. The rough texture of the sponge exfoliates the skin, removing the grime of the journey. The vinegar stings any small cuts or scrapes, a sharp reminder of its cleaning power. He scrubs his neck. He scrubs his shoulders, where the straps of his pack have dug in. He scrubs his arms, watching the water run down his skin, dark with dust, dripping onto the stone floor. Scrub, rinse, scrub, rinse. The rhythm is slow and methodical. He is not just washing his body. He is washing away his past. He is washing away the memory of the crowded streets, the coughing neighbors, the fear in the eyes of the merchants. He scrubs his chest, feeling the beat of his heart beneath the ribs. It is steady. It is strong. He scrubs his stomach. He scrubs his legs, the muscles tired from the climb. He scrubs his feet, the soles hard and calloused. He dips the sponge again and again. The water in the cauldron remains hot, holding the heat of the fire. The steam rises around him, enveloping him in a cloud of acetic mist. He feels like he is in a cocoon. When he is thoroughly scrubbed, he takes the bowl and pours the remaining clean water over his head. Asterisk, whoosh. The water cascades down. It runs through his hair, over his face, down his back. It is a baptism of survival. He sputters, shaking his head, sending droplets flying into the firelight like diamonds. He stands there for a moment, dripping, steaming. He feels incredibly clean. His skin feels tight and tingling. He feels lighter, as if the dirt weighed physical pounds. He reaches for a large, clean linen towel he had laid out on the bench. It is rough, unbleached linen, smelling of sunshine and dried herbs. He wraps it around himself. He rubs his skin vigorously. The friction warms him. He dries his hair. He dries his limbs. Now, he is dry. He is clean. He is purified. But the ritual is not over. He cannot put the dirty clothes back on. He walks to the shelf where his spare clothes are kept. He takes out a fresh set of linens, a loose shirt and trousers. They have been stored with bundles of dried lavender and cedar chips. He unfolds them. They are crisp and cool. He slips the shirt over his head. The fabric glides over his clean skin. It feels smooth and protective. It smells of the flowers of the high hills. He puts on the trousers. He ties the drawstring. He feels transformed. He is no longer the refugee fleeing the city. He is the master of the cottage. He is the hermit of the hill. He turns his attention to the pile of dirty clothes near the door. He cannot leave them there. They are a risk. He takes the cauldron, now empty of the bath water, and refills it from the barrel. He places it back on the fire. He adds more wood to the hearth. He waits for the water to boil again. This time, he wants it furious. He wants it punishingly hot. When the water is rolling and spitting, he takes a long wooden stick. He picks up the dirty tunic and the travel-stained trousers. He drops them into the boiling water, splash. He uses the stick to push the fabric down, drowning it in the heat. He stirs the cauldron. He imagines the heat destroying everything that shouldn't be there. The dust, the grime, and yes, the invisible eggs, the tiny fleas, the seeds of the sickness. The boiling water is the ultimate cleanser. He watches the clothes swirl in the water. The water turns dark and murky. He lets them boil for a long time. He counts the minutes by the beating of his heart. 100 beats, 200 beats, 500 beats. He is thorough in this world. Carelessness is death. Thoroughness is life. Finally, he uses the stick to lift the steaming, heavy wet clothes out of the cauldron. He drops them into a wooden bucket. He carries the bucket to the door. He opens the door. The night air rushes in, freezing cold. It is a shock after the heat of the fire. The stars are out, brilliant and sharp in the black sky. He walks out into the snow-crusted yard. He wrings out the clothes. The water burns his hand, but the air freezes them. He hangs the tunic and the trousers on a line stretched between two pine trees. The wind catches them immediately. They flap heavily. Snop. Snop, asterisk. The cold will finish what the heat began. The frost will purify the fibers. He stands there for a moment, looking out at the darkness. Below him, miles away, he can see the faint orange glow of the city. It looks like a bed of dying embers. He feels a pang of pity, but it is distant. He is separate from it now. He has washed himself of it. He turns and goes back inside. He closes the door and bars it. The cottage is warm. The air is thick with the smell of vinegar and wood smoke. It is a good smell, a safe smell. Thomas walks to the fire. He adds a final log. He pulls his chair close. He sits down. He looks at his hands. They are red from the heat and the scrubbing, but they are clean. He looks at his fingernails. Clean. He touches his face. Clean. He leans back in the chair. He extends his feet towards the flames. He feels a deep, profound relaxation spreading through his muscles. It is the relaxation that comes only after a great effort of purification. He closes his eyes. He listens to the fire. Asterisk, crackle, pop, hiss. He listens to his own breathing. It is slow. It is deep. It is unobstructed. He imagines the vinegar vapor forming a microscopic shield on his skin, a barrier that says times, do not touch. I am clean. I am safe. The ritual is complete. The day is washed away. The night belongs to him. He is the clean man in a dirty world. And in this stone room, high above the clouds, that is everything. He rests. The morning sun spills over the granite ridge of the hill, bathing the stone cottage in a light that is pale, clean, and utterly silent. Thomas wakes. He does not wake with a start, as he used to in the city, jolted by the rumble of carts or the shouting of street vendors. He wakes slowly, rising from the depths of sleep like a diver surfacing in a calm lagoon. He lies for a moment, staring at the wooden beams of the ceiling. He takes a breath. The air inside the cottage is still warm from the fire of the night before, but it is fresh. It does not smell of stale fear. It smells of the vinegar scrub, of faint, acidic ghost that lingers in the corners, promising sterility. He sits up. He swings his legs out of the bed. His feet touch the cold flagstones. He stands and stretches, feeling the clean linen of his shirt move against his skin. He is ready. Today is the day of the shield. Yesterday was for cleansing the body. Today is for fortifying the home. He walks to the door and unbars it. He pushes it open. The morning air rushes in to meet him. It is crisp, cold enough to see his breath in white puffs, but it is invigorated with the scent of the high-altitude pine forest. Thomas steps out into the small yard. The frost on the ground crunches softly under his boots. Asterisk, crunch. 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 He walks to the south side of the cottage. Here, sheltered by the stone wall from the biting north wind and warmed by the southern sun, lies his treasure, the herb garden. It is not a grand garden. There are no ornamental roses, no showy tulips. It is a utilitarian garden, a survival garden. It is a patch of dark, turned earth, bordered by river stones. And in this earth grow the soldiers of his defense. Thomas kneels on the edge of the garden. The knees of his trousers dampen slightly from the frost on the grass. He places his hands on the soil. It is cold, but alive. He can feel the dormant energy of the plants waiting for the sun. He begins with the most powerful of them all, the garlic, the stinking rose, the poor man's treacle. In the city, the nobles turn their noses up at it, preferring their perfumes and their pomanders of ambergris. But Thomas knows. He knows that the sickness hates the garlic. He knows that the tiny, invisible biting things that carry the plague cannot stand its potent, sulphurous breath. He finds the stalks, withered and brown, now in the late autumn, marking the sleeping bulbs beneath. He digs his fingers into the soil. It is crumbly and rich. He feels the round, hard shape of a bulb. He grips the neck of the plant. He pulls through arc. The sound of roots breaking is satisfying. The earth gives up its prize. He lifts the bulb into the light. It is heavy, denser, covered in layers of white and purple papery skin. Even now, unbroken, it releases a faint, pungent warning. He pulls another and another. He piles them into a woven willow basket. He is harvesting ammunition. He picks up a bulb and brushes off the dirt. The skin rustles like dry parchment. Asterisk, rustle. So, asterisk, he presses his thumb against a clove. It is firm. It is full of oil. It is full of life. Next, he moves to the rosemary. This is a different kind of warrior. The rosemary bush is old and woody. Its stems are thick and gnarled, twisting like the limbs of a miniature tree. The leaves are not soft, they are needles. Tough, dark green on top, silver underneath, covered in a sticky resin. Thomas reaches out. He runs his hand up a branch, against the grain of the needles. Asterisk, scrape, swish. The scent explodes into the air. It is piney, woody, sharp, and camphoraceous. It is a smell that wakes the brain. It is a smell that clears the lungs. It is the smell of memory and the smell of protection. He takes his small knife from his belt. The blade is silver and sharp. He selects a branch. He cuts. Snip. The sound is clean. A droplet of sap beads on the cut end of the wood. It glistens like amber. Thomas touches it with his finger. It is sticky. He brings his finger to his nose. The smell is intense, concentrated. It smells of the sun baking the rocks. It smells of resilience. He cuts branch after branch, laying them gently in the basket on top of the garlic. He is building layers of scent. He moves to the sage, salvia, the savior, the plant of immortality. The sage bush is low and spreading. Its leaves are broad, oval, and soft as velvet. They are a dusty grey-green color, textured like the tongue of a cat. Thomas strokes a leaf. It is soft, fuzzy, but when he rubs it between his thumb and forefinger, it releases a heavy, musky, earthy aroma. It is a grounding scent. It smells of dry earth and ancient wisdom. It is a savory smell, a smell that speaks of preservation. He cuts the sage. Snip, rustle, asterisk. The leaves fall softly into the basket. Unlike the rosemary, which is stiff, the sage is pliable. It settles over the other herbs like a blanket. Finally, he comes to the mint and the lavender. The mint has spread aggressively in the corner, its square stems rooting wherever they touch the ground. Even in the cold, it remains green. Thomas tears a handful. The scent is shocking in its coldness. It is icy, sweet, piercing. It opens the nasal passages. It is the smell of cold water. The lavender is dry now. The purple flowers faded to grey-blue, but the scent remains locked in the tiny buds. He runs his hand over the spikes. A cloud of floral, sweet, medicinal dust rises. It is a soothing smell, the smell that calms the panic. But beneath the sweetness, there is a steel core of antiseptic power. He cuts the lavender. He fills the basket to the brim. He stands up. His back creaks slightly. He lifts the basket. It is not heavy with weight, but it is heavy with potency. The combined scent of the garlic, rosemary, say, mint, and lavender rises around him in a cloud. It is a complex, chaotic, beautiful symphony of smells. It smells of a pharmacy. It smells of a kitchen. It smells of life. He carries the basket back into the cottage. He kicks the door shut behind him. Now the processing begins. Thomas clears the wooden table. He wipes it down with a damp cloth. He sets the basket down. He pulls up his chair. This is his work for the morning. He is not a soldier forging swords. He is a hermit forging smells. He takes a ball of twine from the shelf. It is rough hemp twine, smelling of dry grass. He takes his knife. He begins with the garlic. He does not want to cook it. He wants to unleash it. He takes the bulbs and begins to braid their dry stalks together. It is a slow, methodical movement. Over, under, pull, tulo, over, under, pull. His fingers move with muscle memory. He creates a long, heavy chain of garlic bulbs, a necklace for the house. He takes the knife and slices the top off one of the bulbs, just enough to expose the raw, white flesh of the cloves inside. Immediately, the smell fills the room. It is aggressive. It makes his eyes water slightly, but he welcomes it. He imagines the volatile oils rising into the air, seeking out the invisible miasma, neutralizing it. He walks to the front door. He takes a nail and hammers it into the wood frame above the entrance. Bang, 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 asterisk. He hangs the braid of garlic there. It drapes down, a guardian at the gate. Anyone or anything entering this house must pass through the veil of garlic. He returns to the table. He picks up the rosemary. He gathers the woody stems into bunches, 5 or 6 stems to a bundle. He ties them tightly with the twine. He ties a knot. Sip. Tight. Asterisk. He leaves a loop of string for hanging. He crushes the needles slightly in his hands to bruise them, to force them to bleed their scent. The sticky sap coats his palms. His hands are now coated in a living varnish of protection. He walks to the windows. He hangs a bundle of rosemary at the east window. He hangs a bundle at the west window. He imagines the wind blowing through the needles, picking up the scent and carrying it into the room. Every breath of air that enters the cottage will be filtered through the rosemary. It will be scrubbed clean. He returns to the table. He picks up the sage. He does not hang the sage. He prepares it for burning. He binds the leaves tightly into dense wands, wrapping the twine around and around, compressing the velvet leaves into a solid stick. He takes one of the wands to the fire. He thrusts the tip into the flames. Asterisk, crackle, hisse. The leaves catch fire. They burn with a bright orange flame for a moment. Then Thomas blows it out. Asterisk, whoosh. The flame dies, but the smoke begins. It is a thick, creamy, white smoke. It rises in a straight column, then spreads out, drifting across the ceiling like a cloud. The smell of burning sage is powerful. It is ancient. It changes the feeling of the room instantly. It makes the air feel heavier, sacred, and absolutely still. Thomas walks around the room with a smoking wand. He wafts the smoke into the corners where the shadows live. He wafts it under the bed. He wafts it over his food stores. This is smudging, a ritual of cleansing that goes back to the beginning of time. He creates a fog of sage. He imagines the smoke adhering to the stone walls, creating a film that nothing evil can penetrate. He places the smouldering wand in a clay bowl on the mantelpiece, letting it burn out slowly, releasing its protection over the hours. Finally, he turns to the lavender and the mint. These are for him. These are for his personal shield. He takes a small square of soft leather. He places a handful of dried lavender buds and crushed mint leaves in the center. He gathers the corners of the leather, forming a small pouch. He ties it shut with a leather thong. This is his posse, his nosegay, his portable sanctuary. He holds the pouch to his nose. He inhales. The scent is sweet, cool, and calming. It cuts through the heavy smell of the garlic and the smoke of the sage. It is a breath of fresh air. He ties the pouch to his belt. It swings against his hip. Wherever he goes, even if he just goes to the woodpile, he carries this scent with him. If he feels fear rising, if he smells something suspicious on the wind, he can lift this pouch to his face and breathe in the scent of the lavender. It is an anchor. It is a mask. Thomas stands in the center of his cottage. He looks around. The garlic hangs at the door. With silent sentinel. The rosemary hangs at the windows, filtering the light and the wind. The sage smoke drifts in the air, a white mist of purity. The lavender hangs at his belt. The room is no longer just a stone box. It has been transformed. It is a sensory fortress. The air is thick, textured, and rich. It is a shield of aromatics. He takes a deep breath. The air tastes complex. It tastes of earth and fire and spice. It does not taste of the city. It does not taste of sickness. He feels a profound sense of safety. He has built a wall, not of stone, but of molecules, an invisible barrier that says times, life lives here, health lives here, decay cannot enter. He walks to the basin and washes the sap and soil from his hands. The water turns dark, but his hands smell of the garden. The scent has seeped into his skin. He has become part of the shield. He sits down in his chair by the fire. The morning work is done. The sun is higher now, casting a square of bright light on the floor. He watches the dust motes dancing in the light, but now he imagines them not as dust, but as tiny particles of scent, floating, guarding, watching. He is the gardener of his own survival. And in this fragrant, silent room, he is the king of his own world. He rests, breathing in the perfume of safety. The sun has passed its zenith. The square of light that lay upon the flagstone floor has shifted, stretching and elongating towards the eastern wall, turning from a brilliant white to a warm, dusty gold. The cottage is quiet. The fire in the hearth has burned down to a bed of glowing coals, covered in a fine layer of grey ash, radiating a gentle, consistent heat that keeps the stone walls from chilling. The air is heavy and rich with the complex perfume of the herbs Thomas hung earlier, the sharp spike of garlic, the woody depth of rosemary, the clean mist of sage. It is a sanctuary of scent. But Thomas knows that scent alone cannot sustain a man. A hermit needs fuel. A survivor needs sustenance. And in the world he has left behind, the world of the city and the valley. Food is not just nutrition. It is a vector of danger. He remembers the advice, whispered in the marketplaces and shouted by the town criers before the silence fell times the rats. Watch the rats, where the grain is. The rat is where the rat is. The flea is where the flea is. The death is. He looks at his provisions. They are currently sitting on the heavy oak table in the center of the room. Sacks of grain, jars of oil, bundles of dried meat. On the table, they are vulnerable. The table has legs, and anything with legs is a ladder for the enemy. Thomas stands up. He moves with a slow, deliberate pace of a man who has nowhere to go and all day to get there. He approaches the corner of the room where he keeps his tools. He bends down and picks up a coil of rope. It is hemp rope, thick, are fibrous, and golden brown. It smells of dry fields and summer sun. He runs the rope through his hands. It is rough, textured. He tests its strength, pulling it taut between his fists. It does not yield. It is strong enough to hold his life. He looks up at the ceiling. The cottage is built with heavy, dark wooden beams that span the width of the room. They are ancient timbers, hardened by smoke and time into something resembling iron. These beams will be his pantry. He will not store his food on the ground. He will not store it on shelves that touch the walls. He will suspend it. He will create islands of safety in the air. He takes a wooden stool and places it beneath the central beam. He steps up. The stool creaks softly. Creak. Asterisk. He is closer to the warmth of the ceiling now. He throws the end of the rope over the beam. Asterisk. Swish. Thud. The rope slides over the wood with a dry, rasping sound. He catches the end as it falls. He ties a knot. It is a bowline knot. A knot he learned from a sailor years ago. A loop, a rabbit coming out of the hole, around the tree, and back down. He pulls it tight. The friction of the fibers locks the knot in place. It is secure. He steps down. He has created the first hoist. He walks to the table. He picks up a woven willow basket. It is a deep, round basket, tightly woven so that no light passes through the gaps. He places a sack of wheat flour inside. The sack is made of heavy canvas, double-stitched. It is heavy, dense with the potential of bread. He places the basket on the floor beneath the rope. He ties the free end of the rope to the handle of the basket. He checks the knot. Secure. Now the lifting. Thomas grips the rope. He pulls. Asterisk. Heave. The basket leaves the floor. It swings slightly. It rises, inch by inch, foot by foot. He watches it ascend. It moves past his knees, past his waist, past his chest. He pulls steadily. A rhythmic motion of his arms. Pull. Release. Pull. A release. The basket rises until it is suspended 6 feet in the air, dangling freely from the dark beam. It hangs there, isolated. No rat can jump that high. No mouse can climb the thin, spinning rope. It is safe. It is an island of flour in the ocean of air. He ties off the rope to a cleat he has hammered into the wall. He tests the tension. The rope sings like a guitar string. Thrum. He repeats the process. He creates a second hoist, a third, a fourth. Into the second basket goes the dried beans. Kidney beans, white beans, lentils. They rattle softly as he pours them into the container. Da, 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 da. A dry, comforting sound like rain on a roof. He hoists them up. They join the flour in the upper air. Into the third basket goes the dried fruits. Apples sliced into rings and dried until they are leathery and sweet. Figs that are sticky and dark. Raisins that look like small, wrinkled stones. These are his treasures, the sugar that will keep his mind sharp. He covers them with a cloth to keep the dust off. He pulls the rope. The basket ascends into the fourth basket. He places the smoked meat, a side of bacon, cured with salt and wood smoke, until it is hard as wood. A loop of sausages, dark red and spicy. The smell of the meat is strong, savoury, and rich. It is the smell of winter survival. He knows that the smell attracts the pests, so this basket must be the highest of all. He pulls it up until it almost touches the beam. He steps back and looks at his work, the suspended pantry. It is a beautiful sight. 4 baskets floating in the dim light of the upper room. They rotate slowly, lazily, in the currents of warm air rising from the fire. They cast long, oval shadows on the walls. The floor is clear. The table is clear. There is nothing for a rodent to hide behind. There is nothing for a scavenger to steal. The food is elevated. It has been removed from the plane of the earth and brought into the plane of the sky. It feels sacred, hanging there. But suspension is only the passive defense. A fortress also needs an active guard. Thomas turns his gaze to the hearth. There, curled on a sheepskin rug, sleeping in the warmth of the embers, is his companion, the cat. He has no name, or perhaps he has many names. Thomas calls him simply Little Brother, or the grey one. He is a large male tabby. His fur the colour of storm clouds and slate, marked with darker stripes that swirl like the grain of old wood. He is not a pet in the way the lapdogs of the city ladies are pets. He is a partner. He is a fellow survivor. The cat is asleep, or so it seems. His body is a circle of fur. His tail is wrapped over his nose. His breathing is invisible, but Thomas knows he is aware. The ears, tufted with grey fur, swivel slowly, like radar dishes, tracking the sounds of the cottage. They hear the settling of the stone. They hear the pop of the fire. They hear the settling of the baskets. Thomas walks over to the hearth. He sits in his chair. The movement disturbs the air. The cat opens one eye. It is a green eye, bright and intelligent, with a vertical slit pupil that looks like a crack in a gem. Hello, little brother. Thomas whispers. The cat stretches. It is a long, luxurious, fluid movement. He extends his front paws, unsheathing his claws. They are white, curved, and needle-sharp. They hook into the sheepskin. He arches his back, rising up on his stiff legs, yawning wide to reveal a pink tongue and white teeth. Then he relaxes. He stands up and walks towards Thomas. His movement is silence incarnate. He does not walk. He flows. His paws hit the stone floor without a sound. No, sud, no tap, no times. Click asterisk. Just a soft, fluid placement of weight. He is a master of stealth. He is the ghost of the cottage. He rubs his head against Thomas's boot. Asterisk, bump, asterisk. A gesture of ownership, a gesture of affection. Thomas reaches down. He runs his hand along the cat's back. The fur is thick, denser, and incredibly soft. It is warm from the fire. He feels the spine beneath the fur, a flexible chain of bones. He feels the muscles, tight and ready. This creature is a killing machine, designed by nature for one purpose, to hunt in the city. Cats were ignored, or worse, persecuted People thought they were evil. People thought they carried the bad air. Thomas knows the truth. He knows that the cat is the enemy of the rat. The cat is the guardian of the grain. Where the cat walks, the rat does not go. The cat jumps up onto Thomas's lap. He circles 3 times, kneading Thomas's thigh with his paws. Asterisk. Push. Pulled. Push. Pulled. It is an ancient instinct, a memory of kittenhood. Then he settles down, a heavy, warm weight, and then the sound begins. The purr. It starts deep in the cat's chest. A low, rhythmic rumble. It vibrates through the cat's body and into Thomas's legs. Purr. Ma. Rurr. Rurr. It is the most soothing sound in the world. It is a sound of absolute contentment. It is a sound of safety. It is a frequency that seems to heal the nerves. It is steady, like the ocean, like a spinning wheel. Thomas closes his eyes and listens to the purr. It fills the room. It blends with the crackle of the fire and the whistle of the wind outside. He strokes the cat's ears, the velvet softness. He strokes the cat's chin. The cat pushes against his hand, increasing the volume of the purr. Purr. Asterisk. The cat makes a small, chirping sound. Thomas thinks about the role of this animal. In the chaos below, the balance of nature was broken. The cats were killed, so the rats multiplied. The rats multiplied, so the fleas multiplied. The fleas multiplied, so the death multiplied. But here, on the hill, the balance is restored. The ecosystem of the cottage is perfect. The man provides the warmth and the shelter. The cat provides the protection and the companionship. The suspended pantry provides the sustenance. Thomas looks up at the baskets hanging from the ceiling. He looks down at the cat sleeping on his lap. He feels a profound sense of completeness. He is not alone. He has an ally with sharp eyes and sharp claws and a soft heart. He watches the dust motes swirling in the shaft of light. The cat watches them too, his head moving slightly, tracking their flight. To the cat, even a dust mote is prey. This vigilance comforts Thomas. He knows that if a mouse were to scratch at the skirting board, if a spider were to descend from the web, the cat would know instantly. The cat is the sensor, the alarm system, the sentry. Thomas leans his head back against the chair. The smell of the vinegar on his skin, the smell of the herbs in the air, the smell of the wood smoke, and now the warm, muscle, clean scent of the cat's fur. It is a symphony of safety. He feels the tension of the last few days finally leaving his spine. He is not just surviving, he is living. He has established a dominion, a tiny kingdom of 2. The sun moves further west. The light in the room turns orange, then deep red. The shadows of the hanging baskets stretch out, becoming long and thin, reaching across the ceiling like the hands of a clock. The cat stops purring for a moment. He lifts his head. His ears twitch towards the window. He listens to the wind. He decides there is no threat. He lays his head back down on his paws. He sighs, a tiny puff of air from his nose. He goes back to sleep. Thomas smiles. If the cat can sleep, then the world is safe. He sits in the deepening twilight, the firelight glowing in the cat's fur, turning it to silver and gold. He watches the suspended baskets swaying almost imperceptibly in the drafts. He is the keeper of the high ground. He is the friend of the cat. He is the master of the hanging gardens of grain. And for now, in this stone room, in this quiet hour, that is enough. The silence of the cat is the silence of peace. The height of the pantry is the height of wisdom. He rests. The days have begun to blur. Or perhaps blur is the wrong word. Perhaps it is better to say that the days have begun to flow. In the city, time was chopped up into frantic slices. The tolling of the bell for mass, the opening of the market, the closing of the gates. Time was a series of demands. But here, on the high hill, time has become a liquid. It pours from the jug of the morning into the bowl of the evening, smooth and unbroken. Thomas has established a routine. It is a simple routine, boring to some, perhaps, but to him, it is the rhythm of life itself. It is the routine of the survivor. He wakes, he tends the fire, he eats, he cleans, he checks the suspended pantry, he strokes the cat. He does not go out. He does not go to the market. He does not stand in line for water. He does not exchange gossip with neighbors over a fence. He remembers the source script of his lifetimes. The more friends you had, the more chances the plague had to hitch a ride. Asterisk here. He has no friends but the wind and the cat. And that means he has no risk. The afternoon sun is slanting through the western window now, illuminating the corner of the room that he has dedicated to the mind. Here stands a desk. It is a heavy piece of furniture, made of solid oak, dark and scarred. It was left here by a previous occupant, perhaps another hermit who sought refuge from a different war or a different sorrow. The surface of the desk is polished, smooth, by the friction of elbows and the sliding of paper. Thomas walks to the desk. He pulls out the chair. It scrapes softly against the flagstones. Asterisk, screech. Wild, asterisk. He sits down. The light falls across the desk, highlighting the grain of the wood. He traces the lines with his finger. They look like rivers on a map. He reaches for his writing slope. It is a wooden box with a slanted lid. He opens it. Inside lie his tools. The tools of the chronicler. He takes out a sheaf of parchment. It is not paper. It is skin. Sheepskin. Scraped thin. Dried and stretched until it is translucent and stiff. It has a smell. A faint animal smell, mixed with the scent of chalk. It crinkles when he touches it. Asterisk, crinkle. Snop. He places a sheet on the desk. He smooths it down with the palm of his hand. It feels cool and slightly rough, like fine sandpaper. He takes out his inkwell. It is a small pot of heavy glass, thick-bottomed, so it will not tip over. The ink inside is black, not just dark grey, but a profound, abyss-like black. It is iron gall ink, made from oak galls and iron salts. It smells metallic and sharp, a chemical smell that speaks of permanence. He takes out his quill. It is a goose feather, long and white, curved elegantly. The tip has been cut to a precise chisel point with a sharp knife. He holds the quill in his hand. It is light, perfectly balanced. The barbs of the feather tickle his knuckles. He dips the pen into the ink. Dip. He pauses, letting the excess ink drip back into the pot. Drip. He brings the pen to the parchment. He does not write immediately. He waits. He breathes. He thinks about the world below. He thinks about the silence of the hills. He thinks about the privilege of being the one who holds the pen. Then he begins to write asterisk scratch or scritch, scratch. The sound is loud in the silent room. It is a dry, frictional sound. The nib bites into the parchment, leaving a trail of glistening black liquid. The ink flows smoothly, turning thought into matter. He writes about the weather. Asterisk. The wind is from the north today. The air is clear. Asterisk. He writes about the garden. Asterisk. The garlic is drying well. The rosemary is potent. Asterisk. He writes about the cat. Asterisk. The grey one caught a spider near the hearth. And then he writes about the reason he is here. He writes to the future. He writes to the invisible audience of history. Asterisk. A great pestilence came. Asterisk, he writes, echoing the monks of old. Asterisk. And many fled, but I remained on the hill. I kept the door closed. I kept the fire burning, and I lived. He watches the ink dry. It changes from a wet, shiny black to a matte, dark brown. It is setting. It is becoming history. He finds a deep, meditative peace in this act. In the city, words were cheap. People shouted them, wasted them, lied with them. Here, every word costs ink and parchment. Every word is weighed. Every word is true. He writes for an hour. The sun moves across the desk. The shadow of his hand moves across the page. He is recording his existence. He is proving that he is here. When the page is full, he sets down the pen. He wipes the nib with a cloth. He closes the inkwell. Now, clink, asterisk, the ritual of writing is over. Now begins the ritual of reading. On the corner of the desk sits a stack of books. They are not the printed books of the future. They are manuscripts, heavy, bound in leather, with brass clasps to hold them shut. They are books of philosophy, of herbalism, of ancient poetry. Thomas reaches for the top book. It is a large volume, bound in calfskin that has faded to a soft chestnut brown. The leather is scuffed at the corners. He runs his hand over the cover. It feels like skin. It feels warm. He undoes the brass clasp. Click. He opens the book. The smell rises up. It is the best smell in the world. It is the smell of biblical. It smells of vanilla, of almonds, of old glue, of dry paper, of dust, of time. It is a sweet, most intoxicating scent. It is the smell of wisdom stored in the dark. He turns the pages. They are made of vellum, thick and creamy. They make a heavy, soft sound as they turn. Flap, no. You flap. Shoot. He does not read quickly. He is not reading for information. He is reading for companionship. He is reading the words of men who died 1,000 years ago, men who lived through their own plagues, their own wars, their own winters. He reads a line from a Roman Stoic. Asterisk. Retire into yourself. The rational principle which rules has this nature, that it is content with itself when it does what is just, and so secures tranquility. He nods. He understands this. He is living this. He is the introvert king. In the source script of the world below, the extroverts are suffering. The ones who needed the parties, the ones who needed the noise, they are struggling. But Thomas was made for this. He has been practicing for this isolation his whole life. He reads by the light of the window. The words on the page are written in a steady monastic hand. The ink is faded to brown, but legible. He imagines the monk who wrote this sitting in a cell much like this cottage, dipping his pen, finding peace in the silence. He feels a connection across the centuries, a thread of ink connecting two solitary souls. He looks up from the book and gazes out the window. The view is spectacular. He can see for miles. He can see the rolling hills covered in the dark green of the forests. He can see the silver thread of the river in the valley bottom. He can see the distant smudge of the city smoke, but he sees it as if through a telescope inverted. It is far away. It is a painting. It is not real. He feels a profound sense of detachment. It is not indifference. He cares about the suffering of the world, but he knows he cannot stop it. He can only survive it. He practices the art of social distancing not as a punishment, but as a spiritual discipline. He has withdrawn his energy from the collective panic. He has pulled his aura in tight. He watches a hawk circling in the sky. It rides the thermals, effortless and free. It does not flap its wings. It just glides. Thomas feels like that hawk. He is gliding on the currents of solitude. He returns to his book. He reads another page. The light is turning golden orange now. The magic hour, the time when the world looks most beautiful and most fragile. He hears the cat jump down from the chair by the fire. Asterisk, thump. Asterisk. The cat walks to the desk. He jumps up. He lands among the papers. He walks across the open book, his tail twitching. He sits down on the page. Thomas is reading. Thomas smiles. He does not push the cat away. He accepts the interruption. The cat is saying, asterisk, enough reading. Be here. Be now. Thomas strokes the cat's back. The fur is warm. The cat begins to purr again. The sound of the purr mixes with the smell of the old book and the smell of the ink. It is a sensory triad of peace. The sun dips below the ridge. The light in the room changes instantly. The gold vanishes, replaced by a soft blue twilight. The shadows lengthen and merge. The text on the page becomes hard to read. It is time to close the book. Thomas gently lifts the cat. He closes the heavy cover. Coudre. He fastens the brass clasp. Click. He puts the book back on the stack. He puts the quill away. He closes the writing slope. The work of the mind is done for the day. He sits in the growing darkness for a moment longer. He feels the silence of the cottage deepening. The wind outside is picking up, whispering around the eaves. But inside, it is still. He feels full, not with food, but with quiet. He feels the satisfaction of a day spent in the company of his own thoughts. He has not spoken a single word aloud all day. Yet he has had a conversation with the past and with the future. He stands up. His chair scrapes again. He walks towards the fire. It is time to tend the light. It is time to prepare for the long, cozy night. He is the hermit. He is the scholar. He is the keeper of the books on the hill, and he is content. The season of the sun has passed. The golden light of autumn, which bathed the stone cottage in a warm, honeyed glow, has slowly imperceptibly faded. The days have grown shorter, shrinking like a burning candle. The shadows have grown longer, stretching out across the floorboards earlier and earlier each afternoon. Thomas stands at the window. The glass is cold, radiating a chill that he can feel on his face, even from a foot away. He looks out at the world. The sky has changed. It is no longer the deep, endless blue of the high-altitude summer. It has lowered. It has thickened. Our vast, heavy sheet of cloud has pulled itself across the heavens, stretching from one horizon to the other. It is a uniform, flat white, the color of raw wool, the color of a blank page. The air outside is still. It is a profound, expectant stillness. The wind, which usually whistles around the eaves, has fallen silent. The birds are gone, retreating to the lower valleys or flying south. The pine trees stand motionless, their dark green needles waiting. The pressure in the air has dropped. Thomas can feel it in his ears, a subtle heaviness. He knows what this means. He knows the language of the mountain. The winter is arriving. It begins with a single flake. Thomas watches it. It drifts down from the white sky, a tiny, solitary star of ice. It rocks back and forth on the heavy air, dancing a slow, silent waltz. It lands on the stone sill of the window. It sits there for a moment, a perfect geometric crystal, before it melts into a tiny, dark dot of water. Then another falls, and another, and then the sky opens. It does not rain, it sifts. The snow falls in a curtain of silence. It is not a blizzard. There is no violence in it. It is a steady, relentless accumulation of quiet. The flakes are large and fluffy, clumping together as they fall. Thomas watches the transformation of his world. The brown earth of the herb garden is covered in a dusting of white sugar. The dark green of the pine trees is frosted with silver. The grey stone of the path disappears. Everything is being softened. The sharp edges of the rocks are rounded. The colours are erased. The world is being simplified into white and grey. He feels a deep, primal sense of satisfaction. The snow is not just weather. It is a barrier. It is the ultimate social distancing. The snow will block the path. It will fill the pass. It will seal him off completely from the world below. The plague cannot travel through the snow. The rats cannot walk through the drifts. He is being sealed in a capsule of purity. He turns away from the window. The cold radiating from the glass is seeping into the room. It is time to build the defense. It is time to wake the hearth. He walks to the wood pile stacked neatly against the north wall inside the cottage. He has been preparing for this for months. He has gathered the wood oak for heat, pine for kindling, birch for the sweet smell. The logs are dry, seasoned, their ends cracked with age. He selects a large log of oak. It is heavy, dense as iron. The bark is rough and dark. He carries it to the fireplace. The fire is currently just a bed of low, sleepy embers, pulsing with a faint red glow under the ash. Thomas takes the iron poker. Clink. A scrape. Asterisk. He stirs the ashes. He exposes the heart of the fire. He places a handful of birch bark on the embers. The bark curls, smokes, and then catches with a sudden bright flare. He adds small sticks of pine. They crackle instantly. Snap, pop, you say asterisk. The resin in the wood boils and burns, releasing that sharp, clean scent of the forest. Then he places the great oak log on top. He positions it carefully, leaving space for the air to flow underneath. He sits back on his heels and watches. The flames lick at the oak. They caress the rough bark slowly. The heavy wood begins to accept the heat. It darkens, then glows, and then it catches a steady yellow-orange flame, begins to wrap around the log. The heat builds. It radiates outward from the hearth, a physical wave of energy. It pushes back the cold that was creeping in from the window. It warms Thomas's face. It warms his hands. The sound of the fire changes. It settles into a deep, low roar. Asterisk, whoosh. Rumble, asterisk. It is the sound of a living thing. It is the heartbeat of the winter house. Now, Thomas turns to his own sustenance. The cold outside demands fuel inside. It is a day for soup, a day for a pottage that will stick to the ribs and warm the blood. He walks to the suspended pantry. He reaches up and unties the rope for the vegetable basket. He lowers it gently. The rope hums through his fingers. He takes out 3 turnips. They are heavy, purple and white, smelling of the earth. He takes out 2 carrots, shriveled slightly, but still firm and orange. He takes out an onion, its skin gold and papery. He hoists the basket back up. Asterisk, heave. He goes to the herb garden basket, the dry one inside. He takes a bulb of garlic, the most important ingredient, the protector. He carries the vegetables to the table. He takes his knife. The preparation is a meditation. He slices the top off the onion. He peels away the dry, crinkly skin. It makes a sound like dry leaves. Asterisk, crinkle, tear. Asterisk, he slices the onion. Hop, 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 asterisk. The knife hits the wooden board with a dull, rhythmic thud. The scent of the onion rises, sharp and pungent, making his eyes sting pleasantly. He peels the carrots and turnips. He cuts them into rough chunks. The vegetables are hard. They resist the knife. He has to use force. Asterisk, crack, slice. Then the garlic. He separates the cloves. He smashes them with the flat of the blade. Asterisk, crunch. Asterisk, the skins slip off easily. He minces the white flesh. The room fills with the powerful, medicinal smell of the garlic. It mixes with the smell of the pine smoke. It is the smell of a fortress. He takes his iron cauldron, the same one he used for washing, now scrubbed clean and seasoned with oil. He hangs it over the fire. He puts a knob of animal fat into the pot. It melts instantly, sizzling and spitting. Asterisk, sizzle. Spit. He throws in the onions and the garlic. Hiss. The sound is aggressive and cheerful. The smell transforms. The sharp raw onion becomes sweet and savory as it caramelizes. The garlic turns golden. He adds the root vegetables. He stirs them with a wooden spoon. Asterisk, clack. Scrape, asterisk. He lets them brown slightly, locking in the flavor. Then he reaches for the water jug. He pours water into the pot. Asterisk. Whoosh. Glug. Steam billows up, smelling of roasted vegetables. He fills the pot until the vegetables are submerged. He goes to the dried meat basket. He takes a piece of the smoked bacon. He cuts it into thick cubes. He drops them into the soup. They will add salt. They will add the taste of smoke. Finally, he goes to the window where the rosemary hangs. He breaks off a sprig. He drops it into the pot. He covers the cauldron with a heavy iron lid. Clan. Now, time must do the work. Thomas pulls his chair closer to the fire. The cat, sensing the increase in heat, has moved from the bed to the rug in front of the hearth. He is stretched out long, his belly exposed to the warmth, his paws twitching in a dream. Outside, the light is failing. The grey sky is darkening to charcoal. The snow continues to fall, heavier now. It piles up on the window ledge, covering the glass inches deep. The cottage is becoming a cave. The world outside is disappearing. There is no horizon. There is no valley. There is only the white swirling void. But inside, there is the fire, and there is the soup. Thomas listens to the pot. It begins to boil. Asterisk bubble. Or gloob. Bubble. Asterisk. It settles into a simmer. The lid rattles gently. The smell escaping from the pot is incredible. It is thick, savory, and rich. It smells of slow time. It smells of patience. He waits for an hour, 2 hours. He watches the flames dancing. He feeds the fire another log. He watches the cat sleeping. He feels a profound sense of hygge, the Danish concept of coziness, though he does not know the word. He knows the feeling. It is the pleasure of being safe inside when the weather is wild outside. It is the pleasure of the small, warm circle of light in the vast darkness. Finally, the soup is ready. He lifts the lid. A cloud of steam rushes up, warming his face. The soup has thickened. The vegetables are soft, almost dissolving. The meat is tender. The broth is a rich, golden brown. He ladles the soup into a wooden bowl. He takes a spoon. He sits back in his chair. He holds the bowl in both hands. The wood is hot. The heat transfers into his palms, traveling up his arms. It warms him before he even takes a bite. He blows on the soup. Whir, whir. Asterisk. The steam swirls. He takes a spoonful. He puts it in his mouth. It is liquid heat. It tastes of the sweet onions, the earthy turnips, the salty meat, and the piney rosemary. But mostly, it tastes of the garlic. It tastes of health. You can feel it sliding down his throat, warming his chest, settling in his stomach like a hot stone. He eats slowly. Every bite is a gratitude. He chews the soft vegetables. He savors the broth. With every spoonful, he feels the cold of the winter being pushed further away. The heat is now inside him. He is a furnace. The wind begins to pick up outside. It howls around the chimney. Ooh. To howl. Asterisk. It rattles the door. But the door is barred. The walls are thick. The wind cannot get in. It only serves to make the silence inside feel deeper. Thomas finishes the soup. He scrapes the bowl clean. He feels full. He feels heavy with contentment. He looks at the window. The snow has covered the glass completely. He is snowed in. He smiles. He does not need to go anywhere. He does not need to see anyone. He has his fire. He has his cat. He has his soup. He has his books. He is in hibernation. The world can turn without him. The wars can rage. The kings can fall. The sickness can pass. He will stay here, in the warm, orange glow of the hearth. He leans back. His eyelids grow heavy. The sound of the fire times crackle. Hum is a lullaby. The purr of the cat is a drone of peace. He is the bear in the den. He is the seed in the earth. He is waiting out the winter in the ultimate comfort. The firelight flickers on his face. The shadows dance on the wall. The snow piles up. A white blanket of silence covering the roof, muting the world, hushing the universe. He is warm. He is full. He is safe. The wooden bowl is empty. The last drop of the rich, golden broth has been consumed. Thomas sets the spoon down on the table. It makes a soft, dull click against the wood. It is the sound of completion. The meal is finished. The day is finished. The season of waking is drawing to a close. He sits for a long time, simply feeling the weight of the food in his stomach. It is a good weight, a grounding weight. The heat from the soup radiates outward from his core, reaching his fingertips and his toes, pushing back against the chill that presses against the stone walls of the cottage. The fire in the hearth has changed its character. It is no longer the roaring, crackling beast of the early evening, hungry for wood and air. It has settled. The great oak log has broken down into a massive, glowing bed of coals. They are deep red, pulsing with a slow, steady rhythm, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. The flames are small now, blue and violet, licking lazily over the surface of the embers. The light in the room has deepened. The sharp shadows have softened into a uniform, amber gloom. The corners of the room have disappeared into darkness. The ceiling beams are lost in the shadow. The world has shrunk to this small circle of warmth. Thomas stands up. His movements are heavy and slow. He feels the pleasant lethargy of the winter night in his limbs. He walks to the table and picks up the bowl and the spoon. He carries them to the wash basin. He rinses them with water from the jug. The water is cold, a brief, refreshing shock to his fingers. He dries them with a cloth and sets them on the shelf. Everything in its place, everything ready for tomorrow. But there is one final task before rest. The most important task of the winter night. He must bank the fire. He walks to the hearth. He kneels on the stone flagstones. The heat on his face is intense. A dry, baking heat. The cat, curled on the rug, opens one green eye, watches him for a second, and then closes it again, trusting him to manage the sun of their little world. Thomas takes the iron shovel. It scrapes against the stone. Asterisk. Scrape. He begins to gather the grey ash that has accumulated at the edges of the firebox. This ash is soft as flour, light as air. It is the insulation. He carefully shovels the ash over the glowing red coals. He does not want to extinguish them. He wants to put them to sleep. He wants to preserve their heart. He covers the coals, shovelful by shovelful. The bright red glow is slowly hidden. The light in the room dims with each scoop. Scoop, pour, scoop, pour. The ash falls softly, muffling the sound of the burning wood. It creates a grey blanket over the fire. He leaves only a tiny vent, a small opening where a single red eye of fire can breathe, just enough to keep the heart alive until morning. When he is finished, the room is almost dark. There is only the faint glow from the ash mound and the pale blue light of the snow-reflected moon coming through the cracks in the shutters. The air cools slightly, but the stone walls, heated for hours, begin to release their stored warmth, keeping the temperature stable. Thomas stands up. He brushes the ash from his hands. He turns and looks at the door. It is barred with a heavy beam of oak. He walks over to it. He places his hand on the bar. He tests it. It is solid. It is immovable. He looks up at the garlic braid hanging above the frame. It is dry now. The skin's papery, but the scent is still there. A faint, protective aura. He walks to the windows. He checks the latches. Locked, secure. The rosemary bundles are silhouettes against the glass. He looks up at the ceiling. The suspended pantry hangs motionless in the dark. The flour, the beans, the fruit, the meat, they are safe. They are floating above the danger. The cottage is sealed. It is a capsule, a seed. Now he prepares himself. He walks to the side of the bed. It is a simple frame, strung with ropes that provide a bit of spring. The mattress is a tick filled with fresh straw and dried lavender flowers. He fluffs it every morning, but now it has settled into a welcoming shape. He begins to undress. He unties the drawstring of his trousers. He pulls his shirt over his head. The air in the room, away from the fire, is cool. When he removes his clothes, the cold air touches his skin. It is a bracing sensation. It makes him shiver. Just once, a shiver that reminds him he is alive, that he can feel. He folds his clothes neatly and places them on the chair. He stands in his linen undergarments. He is ready. He pulls back the covers. There are layers. A sheet of heavy linen, cool and smooth. A blanket of woven wool, thick and scratchy. And on top, a sheepskin, the fleece facing down, heavy and soft. He sits on the edge of the bed. The straw rustles under his weight. Asterisk, crinkle. Shu, or asterisk. The scent of the lavender rises up, released by the pressure. It is a sweet, dusty, purple smell. It mixes with the smell of the pine smoke and the vinegar that still lingers faintly on his skin. He swings his legs into the bed. He slides down between the sheets. The linen is cold at first. It saps the heat from his skin. He curls his legs up, making himself small. He pulls the heavy covers up to his chin, and then the magic of the bed begins. His body heat is trapped by the wool and the sheepskin. The cold linen warms up. It transforms from a shock to a comfort. A cocoon of warmth begins to form around him. It grows, expanding from his core, traveling down to his freezing feet. He stretches his legs out. His toes touch the warm spot he has created. He sighs, a long, deep exhale that seems to empty his lungs of the last tension of the year. The weight of the blankets is heavy. It presses him down into the mattress. It holds him. It is a weighted blanket of history. It tells his muscles that they do not need to work anymore. They do not need to hold him up. The bed would do the work. He turns onto his side. He punches the pillow, which is filled with goose down, soft and yielding. He settles his head. His eyes are open, staring into the darkness. But the darkness is not empty. It is filled with the presence of safety. He listens. Outside, the wind has picked up again. It is howling. Hoo, hoo, asterisk. It batters the stone walls. It claws at the thatch of the roof. It is the voice of the winter, the voice of the storm, the voice of the chaotic world. But it cannot get in. The walls are too thick. The door is too strong. The fire is too deep. The contrast between the violence of the wind outside and the absolute stillness inside makes the peace feel deeper. The storm makes the safety real. He hears the cat. The cat has left the hearth rug. Thomas feels a small, heavy weight jump onto the foot of the bed. Asterisk, thump. The cat walks up the length of the bed, stepping carefully on the blankets. He walks up to Thomas's shoulder. He circles once, twice, then he collapses. A heavy, warm lump of fur against Thomas's chest. The purring begins again. Urr, or, urr, urr. It is louder in the silence of the night. It vibrates through the blankets. It enters Thomas's chest. It synchronizes with his own heart. Thomas closes his eyes. He begins to review the journey. He does not think of the fear. He thinks of the success. He sees himself leaving the city gates in the mist. He sees the path climbing the hill. He sees the door opening. He sees the water boiling. He sees the herbs hanging. He sees the food rising into the air. He realizes something profound. He is not just hiding. He has built a new world. In the city below, the people are waiting for the end. But here, on the hill, he is waiting for the beginning. He has preserved the seed of civilization. He has preserved the fire. He has preserved the knowledge in the books. He is the ark. The realization brings a wave of gratitude. He is grateful for the stone. He is grateful for the wood. He is grateful for the garlic. He is grateful for the cat. He feels his body getting heavier. The bed seems to be rising up to meet him. His limbs feel like lead, but pleasant lead. He could not move them if he wanted to. He is sinking into the mattress. His breathing slows. In und Pause, asterisk, out. Pause. The air in the room is getting colder as the fire dies down. But under the blankets, it is tropical. It is a microclimate of perfect warmth. He buries his nose in the pillow. It smells of dried sun and feathers. He lets his mind drift away from the cottage. He imagines he is floating above it. He sees the cottage from the sky. A tiny, square box of stone, half buried in the white snow. A single wisp of smoke curling from the chimney, marking the life inside. Around it, there is only white, miles and miles of white snow. Silence, purity, distance. The plague cannot cross the snow. The fear cannot climb the hill. He is an island in a sea of white. His thoughts begin to fragment. They lose their sharp edges. They become images. A green leaf of sage, the yellow eye of the cat, the blue flame of the fire, the white flake of snow. He enters the state of hypnagogia, the borderland between wakefulness and sleep. He hears the wind again, but it sounds like a song now. A lullaby sung by the mountain, asterisk, sleep. Thomas, sleep, asterisk, asterisk. The door is barred, asterisk, asterisk. The pantry is full, asterisk, asterisk. The winter is long, Asterisk, asterisk. You have time. He feels a profound sense of permission. Permission to stop. Permission to not know what is happening in the world. Permission to be useless for a while. He is the bear in the cave. His heart rate drops. His body temperature lowers slightly. He is entering hibernation. The darkness of the room is not black. It is a soft, velvety grey. It wraps around his mind. It covers his thoughts like the snow covers the rocks. He feels the presence of the books on the desk across the room. They are sleeping too. Their words are closed inside the covers, waiting for the spring. He feels the presence of the garlic at the door. The silent sentinels, they are watching. He feels the presence of the cat, the warm, vibrating weight, the heartbeat against his ribs. He drifts deeper. The floor drops away. The bed is floating. He is floating in the dark. Warm air of the cottage. He remembers the vinegar, the clean, sharp smell. He feels clean. He feels pure. He is the survivor. He has done everything right. He has made no mistakes. He has listened to the wind. And now, the reward. The reward is this silence. The reward is this warmth. The reward is this long, unbroken night. He sinks past the level of dreams. He sinks into the deep, restorative dark. The place where the body heals. The place where the mind repairs itself. The wind howls outside. Distant, meaningless noise. It cannot touch him. He is safe. He is warm. He is whole. The fire glows in the ash. The cat purrs. The snow falls. And Thomas sleeps. Good night.